this is your host from my channel. And today, we are going to talk about how to finance your first sports bike here in Kenya. First off, I want to start by saying that there is no one-size-fits-all. When it comes to financing a sports bike, the best way to finance your bike will depend on your individual circumstances. However, there are some general tips that can help you get the process started and ultimately get you on your bike of choice. So whether you're just starting out or you're looking to upgrade, stay tuned for some helpful advice on how to finance your first sport bike. Tip number 1, determine your budget. It is important to know how much you can afford to spend on a new bike before you start shopping around. Consider your income, expenses, and savings when setting a budget, and be realistic about how much you can comfortably afford to pay each month. Once you have a budget in mind, it will help you narrow down your options and find a bike that fits your financial situation. There are several ways to figure out your budget. You could use the X of April 20 rule, which says that you should spend no more than 20% of your monthly income on housing, 4% on transportation, and 10% on all other expenses. So if you earn $100,000 per month, you would spend no more than $20,000 on housing, $4,000 on transportation, and $10,000 on other expenses, including your motorcycle. Of course, this is just a guideline, and you may need to adjust it based on your own circumstances. But it is a good place to start. The next method is the 50-30-20 rule, which says that you should spend 50% of your money on needs, 30% on wants, and 20% on savings and investments. Using the same example, you would spend $50,000 on needs, $15,000 on wants, and $10,000 on savings and investments. This means that you could spend up to $65,000 on a motorcycle if you wanted to. But remember to also factor in the cost of maintenance and insurance. A motorcycle can be expensive to maintain, so you need to make sure that you have enough money set aside for repairs and regular servicing. Additionally, motorcycle insurance is also mandatory in most states, so you need to factor that into your budget as well. In conclusion, determine your budget by listing all your sources of income, calculating your total income, subtracting your expenses from your income to calculate your disposable income, and then decide how much of your disposable income you are comfortable allocating towards a motorcycle. Tip number 2, save for a down payment. Saving for a down payment is an important step in financing your first sports bike. A down payment is the amount of money you pay up front when you buy something on credit. When you finance a motorcycle, the dealer will typically ask for a down payment before they can process your loan application. Having a larger down payment can help you secure a lower interest rate or a longer loan term, which can make your monthly payments more affordable. Let's take an example to better understand the importance of a down payment. Suppose you are buying a motorcycle worth 400,000 shillings. If you were to put down 80,000 shillings as a down payment, that would mean that you are only financing 320,000 shillings. On the other hand, if you were to put down only 20,000 shillings as a down payment, you would be financing 380,000 shillings. In this case, because you financed a smaller amount, you are likely to receive a lower interest rate and a lower monthly payment compared to the person who put down a smaller down payment. Now let's look at the amount of time it will take to save for a down payment. Depending on your income and expenses, it may take some time to save enough money for a down payment. However, it is important to start saving as soon as possible. You can begin by setting a savings goal, creating a budget, and tracking your expenses. You may also want to consider cutting back on unnecessary expenses and finding ways to increase your income, such as taking on a part-time job or selling unwanted items. Remember that a larger down payment can result in a lower interest rate and monthly payments, so it is worth saving up for. Tip number 3, check your credit score. Before you apply for a loan to finance your first sports bike, it is important to check your credit score. A credit score is a numerical representation of your credit worthiness. Based on your credit history, it helps lenders determine how likely you are to repay a loan. A good credit score can help you secure a lower interest rate and better loan terms. You could check your credit score by contacting a credit reporting agency. Most credit reporting agencies allow you to check your credit score for free or for a small fee. Once you have checked your credit score, you can take steps to improve it if necessary. You can start by paying your bills on time, reducing your credit utilization ratio, keeping old accounts open, and avoiding applying for too much credit in a short period. By improving your credit score, you can increase your chances of getting approved for a loan and securing favorable interest rates and loan terms. Tip number 4. Research and compare loan options. Now that you've determined your budget, saved for a down payment, and checked your credit score, it is time to research and compare loan options to finance your first sports bike. There are several types of loans available, each with its own terms and conditions. It is important to shop around and compare different lenders to find the best loan for your situation. When researching loan options, consider the loan amount, interest rates, repayment term, and any fees associated with the loan. You can apply for a loan from a bank, a credit union, or an online lender. Banks typically have a more stringent application process and may require a higher credit score and a larger down payment. Credit unions are member-owned financial institutions that often offer more competitive interest rates and more flexible lending criteria. Online lenders may also be an option, as they typically have a faster application process and more lenient lending criteria before applying for a loan. It is also important to read the fine print and understand the terms and conditions of the loan. Pay attention to the interest rate, repayment period, any penalties for early repayment, and any other fees associated with the loan. You may also want to consider getting pre-approved for a loan, which can give you an idea of how much you can borrow and at what interest rate. Getting pre-approved can also make the buying process faster and easier. Ultimately, the best way to finance your first sports bike is the one that fits your budget, credit history, and financial situation. Tip number 5. Choose the right bike. When it comes to choosing the right bike, it is important to consider your experience level, riding skills, and intended use for the bike. If you are a beginner, it is generally recommended to start with a smaller, less powerful bike that is easier to handle. As you gain experience and confidence, you can then upgrade to a more powerful bike. You should also consider the type of riding you plan to do. For example, if you plan to ride on dirt roads or off-road trails, you will need a different type of bike than if you plan to ride primarily on paved roads. It is also important to choose a bike that is within your budget and that you can comfortably afford to maintain and insure. Owning a motorcycle can be expensive, so it is important to factor in the cost of maintenance, repairs, and insurance when making your decision. Don't forget to test ride different bikes before making a purchase. This can help you get a feel for the bike and see if it is right for you. Test riding a bike can also help you avoid making a costly mistake when purchasing a bike that you are not comfortable riding. Tip no nom, protect your investment. Once you have financed your first sports bike, it is important to take steps to protect your investment. This includes wearing a helmet and other protective gear when riding, maintaining your bike regularly, and storing your bike in a safe place when not in use. You may also want to consider getting motorcycle insurance to protect yourself against damage or injury. By following these tips, you can help ensure that your first sports bike stays in good condition for years to come. You won't forget to always ride safely and responsibly and enjoy the thrill and excitement of riding a motorcycle. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe for more great content. Thanks for watching. See you next time!